sport. Like even like the going out culture, going to clubs, pulling girls, it's all a sport. Sex is seen as a sport for a lot of men, and it's like, that becomes an issue when when there's a sport being played, but the other person isn't playing the same game as you. That becomes an issue. It's a one-sided game, and all it means is that there's a trial of people who are hurt in the process. But I think a lot of it is trying to be a lot, for especially for women, trying to be discerning and not taking, not sort of jumping onto the perception of that popular man, or the one who's got the gift of the gab and who's got all the people around him, because at the end of the day, there's always as people love to use this term, a representative that's being shown. The real person behind that might not even be as interesting as you think they are. They might not be as um, kind, funny, entertaining, smart, intelligent. It might just all be a representative that is being shown. And that's what people are getting in that short little, instance that they're hanging out at a party with them, or a meeting, or a dinner. It's that short, sweet, very rehearsed, very practiced interaction. But the interactions that you get when you're at home, when you're by yourself, when you're together, when you're alone, that's gonna give you the the idea of who this person is. And a lot of times, the person never really lives up to the persona, and so you have to really be able to discern whether or not this is just a, a, a pedestal you're putting yourself on, an idea that you're giving yourself, this very shallow, surface level, entertaining, well liked persona that you've put on, or is that really you? And if that's really you, are there other character values that are coming with it as well? And that's all just part of the sermon, and all just part of getting to know somebody. And I think sometimes when you're not sure about yourself, you're not sure about who you are, and you're secure in yourself, you kind of tend to just grab on to that persona, and grab onto the allure of a successful man who's got money and people love him and it's great. And it's like now you're known as the girl who managed to bag that amazing guy who's got all these friends and money. And but it's like, yeah, cool, you bagged him, but if he's treating you like crap, what did you bag? You bagged a bag of crap. So it's not worth it. So I think, yeah, it's just a lot of discernment. It's a lot of thinking about who is it that you're really talking to. Am I talking to you, or am I just talking to the persona? And is if that is really you, does that benefit me in any way, in a real tangible, lifelong way, if that's what you're looking for? But I guess in the words of Jeff, if you're just looking for recreational dating, which I love that term by the way, hilarious. It does that work? If that's what you're looking for,
That's what it
then
is, though.
yeah, then it doesn't matter. If that's what you're looking for, then you don't have to really think about the deepness of it. But if you're looking for a real deep relationship, then yeah, you've got to really think about who this person is, and whether or not that person is a person that's got the correct character to actually have a trusting, long term, healthy relationship with. You know.
Precious, that's more easy said than done. Like it's easiest saying it than it is doing it, because in a time where, again, when I say recreational dating, people dating for the sake of having fun, it's like, first of all, when it comes to standards that people set when it comes to these things, with people that date for fun, there's no rules to it. There's literally no rules to it. At least when you're dating with the intent to marry, courtship, there's a rule where, and even then, some people still mess it up sometimes. So, like, when it comes to guys, it doesn't even have to be guys that have financial status that do this. There are guys that can be broke that can pull girls, right? As long as, the thing is, if you're lacking in one area, some guys will have to overcompensate in other areas to look a certain type of way. You said bringing your representative, so basically creating a facade, a caricature of a guy that is considered to be attractive. So even if you're not checking the boxes in one area, if you're checking a particular box that a girl likes, a guy will feed into that. Basically, counterfeit currency, yeah, for the dating marketplace when it comes to checking for particular girls, especially if it's a girl that is checking him at the same time. It's all immature. It's all born out of immaturity. And again, it's all about accessibility depending on how a girl perceives and looks at the guy. If he thinks, oh, he's attractive, and the guy knows that, that's when he's able to run play. Unfortunately, discernment, that only happens later on in life when you become a little bit more experienced, but also level of maturity to know what you want. If you want to be in a long-term committed relationship versus just simply playing this dating game and dating around casually, and sometimes unfortunately getting caught up in the whole sex aspect of things. But it's very difficult to know who's who and what's what at a young age, and you're repetitively just casually dating out there with no intent behind what it is you're doing. And I think it's more difficult. Maybe there's a level of difficulty for women because obviously there are guys that lie, but that isn't to say that there aren't women that lie about it as well. But I think because women have to, from a primal standpoint, have to be more selective about the type of guys that they give themselves to, it's a little bit difficult because anybody can pull a facade nowadays.
Charlene, there's a question I want to ask you, but I want you, Max, and JR to go before I do that. So who's up next? Max?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what the question is at this stage. So
There isn't a question, but what do you think about what Precious and Jeff said?
I think one thing that I was going to say earlier is the assumption that women aren't cheating. That didn't quite get covered because, well, Kojo kind of spoke to it, and he spoke about the male side of it in terms of men won't necessarily go and talk to another man, and I do think that's part of it. But I also think in the example of someone like Davido, when you're that absent, like for you to be having that level of an affair or affairs, plural, when you're that absent, you leave a big gap for someone else. So it's actually a really interesting idea that people would assume women don't cheat. And I'm not saying she's cheating, but I'm just saying you leave a big space. When you are maintaining multiple relationships, that is time you're taking away from the relationship or your home. So you are leaving gaps for other men. You're leaving gaps, whether it is emotionally, whether it is physically, whether it is probably not financially, he probably has it, but you are leaving space for someone to step in. And so it will get to the point where, will the woman just live in loneliness, or will she get someone to fill the space? Because I know we've talked about cheating in the sense, but we've not really talked about motivation. And that's not to say that she wouldn't have any choice, but it's that she's in a position of deficit, even though she's in a relationship. People who find themselves lonely though they're partnered, that's a different type of experience. So yeah, that's what I would drop in.
Thank you, Max. JR?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what's been said so far, right? I just keep it simple. The fact of the matter is, whether it's in your teenage years or your 20s, 30s, 40s, for men, it's relatively the same, all right? And I'm not trying to be speak for every guy, but that there are some of us who have more charisma. There are some of us that have more ambition. There are some of us that will earn six figures. There are some of us that will still be broken on the same corner at the age of 50, right? So the thing is, we need these different types of guys to make up our brotherhood, right? Because we see who not to be and who to aspire to be like, and who we're gonna hang with more, and who's gonna, we need that diversity in our community. All guys are not gonna universally be what some women expect them to be, right? They're not. There will be those scumbags, those toe rags who want to procreate with anything and anyone, right? And unfortunately, those guys tend to be the more charismatic, no fear. I'm gonna go get what I want. I'm not scared of the repercussion. And that edge is attractive to some women, right? Not all women, but some women are genuinely attracted to that edge. They're attracted to that unpredictability. And that's whether these guys are actually handsome or not. And, you know, I think one of the main problems with what we see in not necessarily the Davido situation, because he has money, right? But I think if we're gonna look at a guy and how much he earns to decide whether he's of good character or whether he's the prize to be with, then it kind of becomes a sport for women too. Because the guy that they can bag is the prize, right? He's the trophy. They're not gonna say that, they're the prize, obviously. But if they can bag a baller like a Brittany Renner has, or someone like that, right? If they have that type of mindset and they bag someone who's got his own business or someone who's doing financially well, that is a scalp. You know, they're largely going to be enjoying a relationship where they've got that guy at their whim, pretty much, especially if he's infatuated with her or he's in love with her. Now with Davido, like, he seems to be, like I said, a guy who's very charismatic. He's very popular. He, you know, for a minute, he was everywhere on every remix, on every Afrobeat tune I was hearing, he was on there, right? So this is the problem. When you become that dude where you are hot, you are on and popping, your options are exponential. It's like the adage when they say, if you give these poor kids money for playing pro sports, they're not going to know what to do with it. It's the same with women. A lot of these guys, you know, they're growing up not necessarily being attractive or not necessarily having it charisma-wise and all of that. The moment they get it, though, they are sport for choice. And money goes to their head, the options, they start to take full advantage of that. So unfortunately, it's something that as men, we need to walk that tightrope every day. Because one of the things that I think makes a great man is how humble he is, how self-aware he is, right? Like, you need to know your lane. And I think when it's a case of choosing whether to stay faithful in your relationship or not, Davido, he's married. So I hold him to a different standard as if you're just boyfriend and girlfriend, to be honest. Marriage, you said the vows. Like, I assume he's religious. They had a church wedding and all of that stuff. So for him to be, especially at a time when his wife's grieving, like, he's going to be out here having 2 more kids. Nah, like, that's unforgivable. That's unforgivable. I don't care how much money he got. I don't care how much options he has. Like, that's how you fumble. Because in relationships that lead to children and marriage, when it goes wrong, we are the ones that lose out the most. It's not just time that we lose, but because that protector provider role that's given to us, we lose that when we lose a family or when we lose a child or whatever. So I think, Davido is definitely loose balling. But as I said, I have a lot of smoke for him in a situation. I'm not a fan of his, by most people's standards. But just by his situation, it's so common and it's demoralizing to keep seeing it happen over and over again. The girls want the guy who's hot, who's on and popping, so they can brag about it, post about it. They can have his kid, have a come up from it. They don't have to worry about, certain things for the rest of their lives if it goes well. But at the same time, you got guys like Davido who, man, I don't know how he can be as famous as he is and think he can be creeping around. That just doesn't make sense to me. And the same with Shaq too. Like, I've said this before, like Shaq, how you gonna be 7'1", multi-millionaire from like teenage years, but think you can creep around on your wife who you got 5 kids with. Like it's decisions like that. There's no justification for it. It's straight stupidity.
Thanks.
Charlene?
Yeah, I've already answered this one, you know. But you said you had a question for me.
I did, yeah. Before that, just to give context on Davido, for those who don't know, he's the son of a billionaire, so he's always had money. He's always been internally that guy. And when he became an artist, he became more or less like the #1 Afrobeats artist in Nigeria, technically the whole of Africa. So he is mega famous. And one of the things that do come with those types of people is that there's lots of women who are gonna stay silent. They just want a piece of something. You know, they just want to say, I've had him. And I know, I'm not going to say for a fact, but before all of this came out, I am aware, just like many artists have, by the way, but I'm aware that there were women here in the UK that he would sleep with whenever he would come here. That's nothing new to me. I've heard many artists, even dating back to B2K days, where there's specific women that I've come across that say, yeah, every time this person comes around, I service him. I'm always there for him, regardless of his situation. So it happens a lot. And Charlene, because you used to work in the music industry, the question I have for you is, would you date someone still now in the music industry? That's of a certain standard.
Absolutely not. But it wasn't for the cheating reason. Artists are never home, and neither are musicians. Your job requires you to travel regularly, and I don't want that life. I've had that life for 20 years. I don't want it for myself, and I don't want to be in a relationship like that.
So regards to the cheating, would you say that because of what you actually just said, is there is the amount of affairs, the amount of cheating, is it at a crazy level that you would advise any woman to be very careful if you're going to get with people who are of this particular standard?
Look, I've been on tours where I know that the artist's security has scouted the crowd, similar to what you were saying, Jay. They have scouted the crowd and brought women to the artist. The artist didn't have to try. I've seen it happen with band members where they weren't, no one was scouting on their behalf. But women flock to these men, right? Whether they're married or not. And as a woman, the treatment is completely different. Men tend to stay away from you, actually, if they see you on stage with a celebrity. They automatically discount you as being out of their league, right? But with men, women flock. And I'm telling you, man, if your man is not in his I'm a king, I want to build with one woman phase of his life, you're finished. Just forget it. Just forget it. Let the man go. Let him live his life in peace. But it's the case of money exposes the traits that were always there and then amplifies them. It just blows them up. So if you had a penchant for being a bit of a player before, chuck $1 million at that and see what happens. Do you know what I mean? It's just wild, off the charts, crazy. And so, yeah, I've seen a lot. It's pretty gross, to be fair. But you have to assess where that man is in his emotional, psychological development. Where is he in his identity? You have to assess these things because the music industry is not for the faint of heart.
I appreciate you, Charlene. And I think the theme earlier was, and I've seen in the comments as well, that as men, just be honest. So I'm going to throw something in there, which we haven't actually mentioned. In the song Assurance, for those who don't know Davido, that's a song dedicated to his wife. And that song was created 5 years ago. But 6 years ago is when he started a relationship with the American lady whose name's Anita. In the actual song, he mentions Anita in saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Max, but I guess she existed, but she can go away. Now I'm going to give you assurance, Choma, that I'm basically here to stay. I'm here for you. So if a man can be this level of honest, are ladies saying that because he's honest, you will still stay, or will you leave? Anyone can jump on the back of that.
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
So in the song Assurance, there's a line in there where he mentions Anita, who is the lady in America that says that she's pregnant.
Right.
Coincidence? I mean, come on.
Probably not.
There you go. And she says their relationship, or their whatever you want to call it, started in 2017. So up to a year before this song came out. But that song is dedicated to Choma, who is now his wife. So in the song, he's referencing Anita and saying, I'm going to put her aside. I'm going to give you assurance because you're the one for me. So if a guy is being this level of honest, then to us, it's just a song. I didn't even think about that line until it was mentioned today by Max. But if he has been this level of honest and we don't know what conversations they've had, are you saying, you're gonna therefore stay, or will you still leave?
Well, I think personally, it's an age-old adage, and I think it applies. But I think when somebody shows you their true colors and they're honest with you, you should believe them. I think if this, and this kind of goes back to what we were saying before about cheating multiple times versus cheating, for 2 years and stuff. My thing is, if you decide to stay, fine, but you are putting yourself in that position to be disrespected again if there isn't any change in behavior. And I think it's almost kind of like, if he had the audacity to make a song like that, why wouldn't he cheat again? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. I'm like, if you had the audacity to go on, make this music and talk about, blatantly open to the world, let everyone know that you were creeping around, there is a level of shame that you don't have for this action. And that's already a warning sign to me. That's already a worrying thing for me. And I think sometimes, it's kind of like what's happening on Love Island with Ella and Tyreek. He's saying exactly what he's going to do, what he thinks. He's being honest with you. And so because of that, it disarms you a bit. You're like, okay, he's been honest. He's trying to be vulnerable. No, he's priming you. He's priming you so that when he turns around and does something, he can say, well, I did tell you. I didn't lie. I was honest. That's all priming. And I think sometimes if somebody is honest, you just have to take that honesty to the bank, cash the check and leave. That's really what you've got to do. You can't just be like, well, he's being honest, he's being vulnerable. That doesn't mean he's trying to change. That doesn't mean he's just trying to prime you. And so for me personally, I think I would still be like, nah, it's okay. Well, if that's the case, I feel like we're not compatible, and it's fine, because you're literally just putting yourself in a position where if something happens, you're going to blame yourself, and it's going to really affect your self-esteem. And I think it's just not worth it. It's not worth your peace. It's not worth any of that, And maybe that's me just being idealistic, but
No, Precious, I agree with you. I'm looking at Love Island every day thinking what's going on here, and don't forget, you don't win the show by jumping from woman to woman or man to man. You win it by coupling up. So it's in his best interest. But he is not ready to be a one-woman guy. So again, I'm telling you the truth, but you're still sticking around. So can you blame him with whatever decision he's going to make? I want everyone else to go after this, but to give context to America, so I understand you probably don't know much about Davido. After that song came out, they did break up, and I believe it was due to infidelity for a while. No one knew anything until one day, sometime later, some years later, all of a sudden now they're engaged. And since then, everything has been kept extremely quiet. until unfortunately their son passed away. No one knew he was married really. There was rumors, but he confirmed it on Drink Champs about 2 weeks ago. That's the first time he's acknowledged it, which is why there's an issue to do with when did he get married? Is he married? What's going on? What's he been doing? But that's the context anyway. But no particular order. Anyone want to go?
Yeah, I can follow. So I agree with what you're saying, Precious, but I feel like the song isn't disrespectful. It's more of him. It's like a song of repentance. So he's saying it like, tell Anita, I'm not going to be engaging with her again. Like he's saying, tell her to go far away. Like I'm not doing that again. Chioma's my lover. But I think the challenge is they say that people, when you apologize and you don't change, it's a form of manipulation. So this idea of him saying, I'm giving you assurance, I'm giving you a lifetime insurance, how? Because he didn't marry her after the song. I don't know, or maybe they had a private agreement or he put something in a will or in her name, because what assurance did you give her? If the issue was a woman, how did you then assure her following that? Or is it that, again, you manipulated with the glitz and the glam and, okay, but I'm going to put you in the song though, because we know that she was in the song. So it kind of is giving, is this a level of manipulation? Did you know that, something Charlene said about, did you know she wasn't really going to go if you dangled a few things in front of her? So it is concerning. It is like, I don't think there's really true repentance in his case. I think it is about opportunity. From when we're hearing France and America, come on now, like what's going on? Like it's not even local babes. Like you're international. That's crazy. So yeah, I do think that. I think the song is nice, but I don't think it's enough. And I think when you look at the song in light of the behavior afterwards, I don't think it's sincere.
That's why I think it's even more disrespectful, honestly, because you clearly had no intention of trying to change. That song was just straight.
Do we know that though?
I mean, my thing is, you literally have clearly. I mean, granted, I would say allegedly because I don't know, but you've known this girl now for this amount of time. She's now confirmed, at least to her point, she's confirming that I've known you since even before this song came out, and this has been the case. So that means he was caught. He was caught in that aspect, and that's why he made that song. Now, fast forward to 2023, now she's pregnant with your baby. I mean, at that point, it's that thing of, I don't know, it feels to me you had no intention of trying to stop any form of interaction with this woman. And to the fact that she's now pregnant, that's a whole now level of disrespect. And even now looking back at that, I just know if it was me, I would feel even more disrespected. And I think I get that, like, because also take into consideration, he could have done that song without even mentioning Anita. It could have been a song where I love you, I'm here for you, I'm assuring you, you're my girl. This Justin Timberlake did the whole album for his wife, a whole 2-side album for his wife. Not once did he ever mention cheating on anyone. So my thing is like, you can do that. You could use that song to really get her in your good books and show her that you love her without mentioning that girl. But you did that because you wanted to. It just feels, I don't know, it feels icky. It feels icky to me now. And knowing that that's the same girl, it feels icky. And that's why for me, I feel like it's even more disrespectful, because it's like you could have just made that song about Chioma instead of even mentioning me. But so I don't know. I mean, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, am I wrong? Like, am I overthinking this?
Nah, I'm kind of in agreement with you when you say that, because if you actually have changed, have reformed, why would you want to give attention to someone from your past and even allude them in your song like that? Why? Because all you end up doing, you're now opening up to all sort of people interpreting that, oh, was she referencing towards that person in the past? And now they're putting two and two together. And now in this particular situation in the relationship right now, which is out there and open. Personally speaking, I wouldn't give somebody like that the time of the day if I've necessarily changed. Now, who knows? And I'll say something towards honesty. I think I put in our private chat that just because you're honest, for the woman, this is the challenge. There's a balance between whether you accept what the person is telling you and do with it as you will, or will you, because honesty shouldn't guarantee someone you giving them the time of day. But because someone is bold enough to tell you something that is immoral, and they say it is what it is, some guys, they know how to weaponize that. Oh, just to test the waters to see if this girl is actually going to still go ahead with it. It always comes back to the intent of what a person is doing when he's being honest with his lifestyle, right? It always comes back to you being discerning to say, yes, he's honest, but do I accept this? Am I going to accept being with somebody like that? So that's how I would kind of see it. Bottom line is, Jay, I know he talked about cheating. I actually want to, Jay, so if I give my 2 cents about the whole cheating aspect of things, I'm gonna say this. Personally speaking, I've seen in experiences when it comes to my personal life, what happens when an allegation of you cheating in a relationship, what it does to you, what it does to the people around you. Personally speaking, it's not worth it for any man or woman. It's just not worth the emotional hassle that comes along with it. It's not worth it. It's not worth you messing up the trust that you have with someone, because once that trust is broken, it is so difficult to put back together. Now, the person who was done dirty in the relationship has to question everything about themselves. Why did I get cheated on? Was it something to do with me? Like, the emotional hassle that comes along with you putting somebody in that type of situation is not worth the risk. The amount of tears that you can make a person cry because of that situation, personally speaking, it's not worth it, just for the sake of being able to have your instant gratification, have your cake and eat it too. It's not worth the long-term effects. And then when you bring children into it, how can children ever look at you the same, especially if you're someone who always spouses about principles? But yet, in this instance, you failed to protect the person that you're with in terms of their emotions, because you've damaged the emotional security when it comes to being in a relationship, whether you're a boyfriend, girlfriend, whether you're married. So for Davido, him doing what he did, he's messed up in regards to damaging the emotional security when it comes to Chioma. She can't look at him the same now because of what he did in the past. And I think this is the thing. Because of society right now, they're high value, so it should be expected for highly desirable men to be cheating in this space, but it shouldn't be. And as long as that stigma continues, we're always going to see more behaviors like this. It's very rare that you get guys that have the money, that have the status, and are still able to maintain a level of humility. I mean, only 2 people I know so far, Chadwick Boseman and Denzel Washington, people that are humble, right? But there has never been any inclination of any infidelity. We wouldn't know about that. And I guess there's a level, because I think they have biblical principles, because they're Christians as well, and it seems that they were practicing Christians in their faith. They try as much as possible to not even put themselves in situations. But like I said, if you give somebody who's never had power, watch how they abuse it. But in this case, Davido, like you said, Jay, he grew up rich. So unfortunately, that's no excuse for him either. So that's it.
Hold on, Max. I just want Charlene and JR to go first. Charlene?
Can I ask, is the question on the table?
There isn't one. We're just responding to what each other are saying. But
Okay.
what are your views on the specific situation with the Davido and the Choma situation? Because I now look at it as she's been aware of many things throughout the 5 years, 6 years, however long it's been. He's made certain promises. He hasn't kept to them. Should she have expected him to, keep to those promises, considering who he is and who he was before she came along? Should she have left? Should she stay? What should she do now?
I was thinking about this actually throughout this discussion, because I've spoken a lot about primal instincts in this discussion, the primal instinct of a man. And I think one of the primal instincts of a woman is to be secure, to feel safe. And that can take the form of being financially looked after. And so in this case, it just sounds like because I'm assuming that she's being looked after financially, that you have to kind of weigh that up against the cheating. And if you were to leave, could you fend for yourself? Could you fend for yourself in the manner to which you're accustomed, right? And the answer to that might be no. So that might be one of the reasons why she stayed. And I think somebody said they've got children. Is that correct? That might be another factor. So it's not a case of should she stay or should she go. She might just be trying to survive. Do you know what I mean? If she leaves the house, then what's she going to do? She might literally just trying to survive. And she might trying to make this relationship work because she does love him and all of the rest of it. But I've been questioning to myself whether one thing I've seen in guys who have cheated, and like accounts of friends, even movies that I've watched, there's always this massive not repentance, like contrition, that's the word. This massive contrition when they get caught, like, I'm so sorry I did that thing. But I know that for men and women, love and respect are different. And I think it just comes down to, if you respected the woman, you wouldn't have cheated on her in the first place. You love her, and you may not want the relationship to end, but I think it really is very, very logical. If you cheat, it's because you don't respect her. There's an element of you that doesn't respect her. That's just how I see it.
Thank you, Charlene. Jaya?
Yeah, go agree with Charlene there. Listen, if a man's gonna step out on his wife, and yeah, he doesn't respect her, and then to be loose balling, where you got one girl in France and another girl in America talking about they got your baby or wherever they are. Listen, man, there's no justification for it. He can't respect his wife. If he wanted to date other girls, he should have left his wife and suffer the penalty for doing that, which is probably losing some of his finances, his assets, and some of the stuff they accrue together. But to want to keep her and have these two other side babies, that's just a madness. I think like one of the things that that is quite understated is how much of a drain of not only your finances, but also your physical energy and your mental energy it must be to run around and, play around with all these girls. Like, I hate to be crass, but You know, when a guy is finished, like he's drained, he's usually wiped out. So to be running around with 2-3 different girls, that, you know, 4 girls, and you know, you're spending all that money and all that time and all that, that's to me, that's long. I don't know how people did. I don't know how they've got jobs. I don't know how they've got careers, and they're still running around doing all that type of stuff. It amazes me. But yeah, listen, like I said, I don't have no sympathy for this Davido guy. For when he's in a marriage, especially as, you know, the child situation that he lost, it isn't like he was cheating in the past. Yeah, he might have known the girl 6 years ago. It's present, because she's pregnant now. She's not pregnant 6 years ago. She's pregnant now. So that news that you enlightened me with, that he wrote a song all them years ago, and he mentioned the side chick in the song, talking about how he's gonna stay with his wife, that makes it even worse. So now no one can tell me that she didn't know that he didn't have no other girls, or he wasn't married. The side chicks knew. They made a song about it. And he was brazen enough and dumb enough. Listen, all right, Charlene knows, but I'm sure everybody else knows the process of songwriting, right? You have to have an idea, think it sounds catchy. You go and jot it down in your notepad. You find a beat. You rehearse it multiple times. You mean to tell me, man sat there spitting hundreds and hundreds of times about his side chick and his current wife, and producers and everything was like, yeah, let's find a beat for that, bro. And they put that out there. And then it went on heavy rotation for all of us to hear it, potentially. That's just mad to me, bro. I can't subscribe to that level of stupidity. I'm sorry. So yeah, as much peas as he made, as much money as he made, he's a damn fool, to be honest with you. Because if Chioma, or whatever her name is, if she decides to, I'm sure she's very hurt right now. I'm sure their household is not a happy, quiet household, and it shouldn't be. And you know, I hope she does leave, because if he really loves her that much, he wouldn't have done it. If she leaves, that's the penalty he has to pay for his reckless actions. Having 2 girls pregnant while you're married is uncondonable. That's not even 1, but to have 2, now you're crazy. Crazy. I don't know much about him, and I don't rate him, but I wouldn't advise or recommend any guy follow that recipe to success, because it's not. It's a downward spiral. And you know, this isn't just a question of not being able to control your urges. This is someone deliberately, over a large span of years, you know, dipping and chipping and changing between the different women. And now he has 2 babies on the way. Listen, he's got to just tough it out and fork out for them kids, man. And hopefully they don't grow up too damaged by the situation that he's created.
I think you've made a great point, you know, JR, because I mean, I didn't know the details about this case. I wasn't here for the very beginning of the discussion, right? But when I hear you speak about it, JR, I'm just thinking the entitlement. It takes audacity, you know, to do all of this foolishness. It takes audacity, because you have been allowed and enabled from way before this situation happened. I will guarantee you that there are other areas of his life where he has this same gumption, audacity, and entitlement. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And it just sounds like he's been allowed to get away with all of this crap for a long time. And when you brought up the whole songwriting process, it's just, as the Jamaicans say, it's just puppy show at this point. You're just creating content to entertain people about the thing that hurt your woman, your wife, should I say. And this is just even more entitlement and foolishness. And yeah, it's just crazy.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I was saying. Like it just feels like the utmost disrespect, the utmost audacity. And I think for me, what really kills me the most is the fact that this woman lost her child at the end of last year, and now you've gotten 2 other people pregnant while she's still grieving for the loss of her child. Like I feel like that's a caveat. That's a cherry on top that just takes, like, the cheating itself is already disrespectful. The as people have mentioned, the making the song and the music and all that, that's already a level of disrespect. But to take into consideration that, and granted, these women are quite early on in their pregnancy, so this was after that child had died, and you and got 2 other women pregnant while your wife is grieving for her child. That is a level of I don't respect my wife that I've never seen in my entire life before. Like, it's not even about love now, it's about just pure respect he has none for his wife at all.
You know, something else, Precious, now that you say that, I'm just like, what kind of model has he been shown? Does he think this is normal? Like, you know, when something's been modeled for you, you think that that is normal, that's reality. And yes, you're going to hurt your woman, but you've seen your dad do it, your uncles, no one in your family is faithful. Things like this, they cause me to wonder, you know, it's crazy.
Just to jump in, I would say the accountability of a rich man is different. And I definitely think culture plays a part in it as well, in terms of like how much discipline how much discipline has been required of him, being growing up as a rich boy. And I don't know if you guys know, but him and Chioma met at university, so it's quite young love in that sense. And then Tubaba and Annie, she was quite young when they were together as well. So I do think you see that pattern, don't you, when women get with these men when they're quite young, and they become like not necessarily their first love, but a deep love for them, and then it's like you latch onto them. I'm completely with Precious about the child situation as well. It's like Davido has other children, but unfortunately, it was Chilma's child. Well, unfortunately, a child has passed away, and it was her child. And I think that him actually getting these women pregnant is potentially the breaking point of the relationship. I mean, many women would have left way before then, but this surely must be a breaking point, because it is a level of harm and disregard that is just on a different level. But yeah, if she stays past this, boy, really, she's gonna need some sort of support. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll be wrapping up shortly, but I'll give my final thought. So I think for me, what we're seeing now is that the destructive behavior of men outside of their covenant is of which brings harm to their covenant is now being called out. And we're able to look at these things as an example of look how much pain and harm not only are you causing, but we can also see where does this stem from. Because I think you was absolutely right, JR. Like if she met him in 2017 and 2018 is where this song came out, she would have known something. I can imagine this is the guy I'm sleeping with. Do you know him? I'm going to show you his music videos. At that point, Assurance was, if you knew Afrobeats at the time, that was a big song, absolutely big song. Everyone loved it because it was a romantic song. To be honest, that line where Anita was mentioned went completely over my head until today. I honestly thought it was just a nice song, but now I'm like, wow, okay. It absolutely is crazy. So she definitely knew something. Whether she knew he was married or not, which probably, I think most people probably believe he got married last year, is a different story. You know, we all know there's a lot of people that get married back home. When they come over to the UK or the US, I mean, they will not say anything, and they'll get into relationships. They'll marry other people. So it's highly possible that things were kept quiet because it wasn't on social media. No one knew anything. No one saw a glamorous wedding. No one knew anything until he confirmed it on Drink Champs only 12 days ago. However, what we're seeing, I think, Charlene, you actually mentioned it, is this like a lifetime of this type of behavior because of the type of, I guess, cloth he comes from, having access to everything from childhood. He's an artist by choice because he wanted to. He can be anything that he wanted to be. I think he went to university here in the UK, university in America as well, where he got his bit of his American twang from. He decided to be an artist and therefore embracing all that comes of it. What we're seeing with sports people, when they are with their childhood sweethearts, they also have to endure a lot of this nonsense as well. And most of them still stay. And it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of NDAs, the injunctions that are out there. It's absolutely crazy what a lot of women have had to go through just to stay with the men that they love. And we're talking about at this level. Forget about men who haven't got that money. But at this level, it's absolutely crazy. So I agree with all of you. And I just see this whole situation as quite disheartening for a lot of people who looked at their situation as couple goals or their situation as, okay, a man who knows his true love. Because at this point, where does it leave them as a couple? Where does it leave people? Where does it leave people who are thinking, is it possible to actually find true love and actually be in a healthy, happy, and faithful relationship? But final thoughts, Max.
No, I think we've talked about this one, man. We've taken it in many different directions. I just think that way more accountability is needed, and really what I think we're seeing as a society is that the seeds that are sown in people's singleness are just bearing fruit in their marriages. And so we just need to sow better seeds to get better fruit.
Thank you, Max. Beautiful. Precious.
Yeah, honestly, I agree. I think people need to really learn what it is. I think there's a preconception about relationships that are, prevalent, and I think people aren't taking just the basic skills of how to be in a healthy relationship, and they're not learning that, and it's carrying on. And it just makes me feel sad because I think, yes, everyone wants to have that healthy relationship where they're happy, they find their person, they can make a beautiful life together, have kids, whatever. And although we're not in those spaces with these celebrities that are doing this craziness, the reality is that this is the kind of stuff that is still happening among us commoners. So I think it's a situation, it just makes you feel really sad when you see that people just don't regard but these kind of connections that you can build with someone else is important. They don't value it, and it's not sacred to them, regardless of what belief system you're assigned to. Even as an atheist, people still see relationships and these things as sacred and as important, and at least something that you should take with high regard. And so seeing that people aren't taking that is quite sad. And you just think about how many people struggle with just being lonely and being by themselves, and struggle with the idea of not having that person. And then to think that this person has found someone who cares about them, who wants to ride or die with them, and they're just treating them like something on their shoe. It really just makes you feel sad to see that human beings can't see the benefits of fully 100% being committed to somebody and the beauty that can create. And so it is really sad to see that. And I guess I just hope that more people can heal and be able to find their way into a healthy relationship that makes them happy and makes them feel fulfilled, and to feel like they've got a person with them that is that person for life. And the reality is it's across the board, whether you're black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever, it's happening across the board, and it's just sad. So hopefully, as we continue to have these conversations and people continue to think and heal and engage in that process of developing, that we see these things less and less.
Thank you, Precious. JL.
Yeah, I'll just say like if you're marriage minded, if you're relationship minded, you want to build life, make life with someone, and you value it, then when you have the opportunity to get it, keep it. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. The rebuilding process after it goes wrong, yeah, that can be very tough and can take a long time to fully recover from. But this Davido guy is not representative of all men. And the women that he's messing with outside of his marriage aren't representative of all women. This is their situation. And although people may have seen things similar with many other entertainers and celebrities, and maybe even in their own personal lives, they know people, but don't get demoralized into thinking that it's going to be like this for everybody. It isn't. So continue to have hope and faith that you can find the person that is special to you, that will treat you well, you treat them well, and it's effortless and it's reciprocated, and hopefully your relationship, marriage, union, families will be happy and successful. And not just financially successful, but successful in terms of the minerals that are required to have a balanced upbringing for any children that come into play, and a balanced relationship in terms of how the both of you interact with each other on a daily basis while you do life with each other. So that's my thoughts.
Welcome back, Dr. Kojo. Charlene?
What I would say is you really need to be discerning about who you're with and what stage he is in his life. And if you see those signs where he really gets his ego stroked with female attention, you have to really assess how safe and secure you really are, even if he is paying your bills. And I think that there are so many women out there, if not all of us actually, that have these superpowers of intuition. We just know stuff. And by the way, I wanted to say this earlier, that even if you don't tell us that you've cheated, we already know. We just don't have it verified yet, but we know if you've cheated. We will dream about you. We can feel it, especially if we cultivate a connection with God. We know you've cheated. So you're doing damage even if you don't tell us. But I'm just saying, use your superpowers, ladies, for your good. Don't doubt it. Trust yourself, and you will understand who he is. Amen.
Thank you, Charlene. I'll give my final thoughts, and then Cole, you can wrap up. I think, to me, I just want to talk to my guys. Regardless of what you want or what you feel is biological or whatever it is, you have to understand how much destruction you input into the world by this behavior. And it's part of the reasons why we are here. And I say part because, again, the time that we live in, there's a lot of women who are just as complicit in the nonsense. So we have to address that too and work backwards. But looking at where things started from, and I'm not one to start blaming governments and the powers that be and all this stuff. I'm not, or conspiracy theorists. I'm not that type of person. I'm a realist, and I look at it as ladies feel the way they feel for a reason. For a reason. And as guys, we have to understand, what are we teaching our children? What are we just showing the world in terms of our output beyond entertainment? So it does boil down to just be honest if this is the way you want to be. But ladies, if a man is honest and he's showing you who he is, you have to ask yourself a question: why are you staying? You know, why do you continue in this situation? Because there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. There's no. There's no guarantee. You know that he is going to change. You know, he has to show you certain things that he has never shown you before, and it's a hard road to climb from. And I think us dealing with trauma, us dealing with psychological issues, is underestimated, the level of what that, you know, the level of where that goes. And even from a cultural point of view, if you understand Africa, there's many women, there's many aunties who are dealing with this on a daily basis, and they will swear to you they will never leave their marriage. You are crazy for telling them to leave their marriage. Where am I gonna go? It is better I stay married to this man than if I was to leave. And they'll even insult you. How dare you come and say anything? So again, understanding it in context, I look at it this way: Davido's definitely doing what he's been shown, and he's definitely doing what he believes is him. It's just that there's a conflict there where he felt he had to give Choma a different side than what most uncles or fathers would give their wives. But unfortunately, it's out there now for us to talk about, out there for us to look at. So, you know, we have to look at it properly and say, is this serving us as people? And to me, it's not. But that's my final thoughts. Kojo?
Yeah, man. Listen, I didn't get to hear any of the conversation because I was obviously on mute and I had work to do. But listen, it sounded like you guys had a really great conversation. I was looking at the chat, so they were giving me some feedback as to what was going on. So it looks like it was a very productive conversation, and y'all were making some really good points. You know, but I do feel like this is a bigger, wider conversation in terms of integrity and people being integrous in their relationships. And you know, again, man to man, as you said, Jay, similar to you, want everybody to know as a man, look, you know, you have so much power, but that also means so much responsibility. You know, you want to steward your family in the right way. So if you know you're for the streets, stay on the streets. Don't come out in here and trying to be monogamous when you know you ain't got the monogamous bone in your system. You know what I mean? Like, just don't do it, because it just wastes everybody's time and gets people caught up and people hurt. But you know, I think people need to be responsible and know just that, you know, cheating is one of those things that psychologically also damages the other person that you're in a relationship with as well. So, you know, once you've broken that china plate, it's very hard to put that china plate back. So, yeah, no, honestly, great conversation. I'm sure we will honestly have more conversations like this as well. I appreciate the panelists as well for coming through and showing out. Just a reminder as well, everyone let everyone know where they can find you and connect with you, or if you have any projects that you're doing that you want people to get behind. If you don't want anyone to find you, then that's cool. You don't say anything, but just really quickly, just let them know where they can find you and stuff, and then we'll be out of the door. Precious, I'll let you go first because you got IG in the bio already. So
yeah, you can find me on Instagram at my handle there. I don't have any projects to like promote. Maybe I should think of something for the future.
Okay.
But yeah, honestly, it was great to have a conversation, and I think that, you know, it's nice to be able to speak to everyone and just get new bits of information and change and think of things in different ways. So yeah, it's always, as always, it's always been fun.
Love that. Charlene?
Yeah, you can find me at Charlene, the Vocal Alchemist, pretty much everywhere, on every single platform. I've got loads of resources if you want to use your voice to make money in business and at work. Get that promotion and that pay rise, baby.
Love that. JR?
Hey, you can find me on JRX TV on YouTube. Also, JRX TV and VIP Training on Instagram. Check me out.
Love that, JR. Thank you very much. Max?
Max, you can find me here.
Why do you do that, Max? It's like you're so. Whenever you talk about where to find you, you're so blunt. Like, it's serious. What is this? We love you. We love you, and we want to follow you. What is this madness?
I'm literally here right now. Reach out.
He said, "This is as far as it goes." Jay,
My Instagram is, as you see it, Jay Anderson King, and my YouTube is Kingdom in Need of God. Kingdom in Need of God is my men's ministry. There's 2 videos on there. I haven't promoted it properly yet, so I'm just trying to chop it up. And then once I've built momentum with other videos I'm recording, then I'm just gonna throw it onto my Instagram and everywhere else. But please follow me in Jay Anderson King. I started posting on there in general anyway. Just thank you for the support in advance. Thank you for supporting this channel. The conversation's been amazing. Thank you, everyone, as usual. I really do feel this is the core, the core panel. I love each and every one of you, all of your opinions. Agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. We just have good conversation. Thank you, Kojo, as well, for bringing us all together.
it's a pleasure. Listen, audience, it's been amazing. It's been good. It's been great. It's been powerful. It's been a conversation, and we've appreciated the convo. It's been fun. And listen, we just want to have some real conversations around here, and be able to chop it up and talk some real stuff. So, man, it's a vibe. It's a vibe. And we'll be back here next Wednesday again, and we'll have some more riveting conversations. Hopefully, Davido, he will not embarrass us any further. Banky W will get a resolution on whether he is doing something mad. And hopefully to Baba, yeah, that one's lost. But anyway, listen, I'm winding. Let's hope for him. But listen, if you're new to the channel, do massive favor, like this video, share it, subscribe it, if you haven't done so already. Also, don't forget you can join the membership as well. We have exclusive conversations as well for members. We do that every 2 weeks, so the next one is in 2 weeks' time as well. And listen, hey, I just wanted to say this, send out this PSA, listen, guys, I'm single, enter the DMs, you know what I mean? I just want to say it. Listen, okay, since we've been talking about cheating all day, I don't be a cheater, okay, all right, but give me the assurance, you know what I'm saying? Give me the assurance, you know what I mean? So if your name is not Anita, your name is not Shioma, then listen, if you come and enter the DMs, by all means, I'll entertain and say hello, enjoy the time. But yeah, guys, we're gonna go. Oh wait, did you guys discuss the lyrics? You actually discussed it, because I didn't know if you did. You discussed it. Fantastic.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Men are actually mad. All right, cool. So love and peace, guys, and we'll see you again soon. I meant what I said. Enter my DMs, guys. I'm single, so see you again soon. Hey, don't forget, you gotta leave here with something. You gotta leave here with something, guys.
I'm so tired of you.
I'm just saying, I really mean what I'm saying, though. Do you know what I mean? But
we know. That's what.
Oh my God.
I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
with something, guys, and I will be.